Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. If this is your first time checking out House and Home, I'm Sky and I'm so happy that you're here. So today we are going to take a look at some of the footage that I captured this past weekend with my son. We went antiquing and had the best time together. It is so fun seeing what kind of treasures they pick out when you bring little ones with you. We honestly just had a great time and I was able to grab some clips from there and just want to share some of the treasures. So usually I take you guys to the depot at Gibson Mill, which is in Concord, North Carolina. It is the largest antique mall in the South. It is massive and so amazing, but I wanted to try somewhere new. Many of you have actually recommended the Main Street Antique Mall in Mooresville, North Carolina, which isn't too far from us. So we thought we would give it a try and we were not disappointed. It was so much fun. So I'm going to take you along and show you some of my favorite finds from the antique mall, and then we're going to come back to the house. We're going to do a little bit of a spring refresh in the living room, not too much, and just changing out a couple of minimal things that I think make a pretty good impact. And then I'm going to share the items that I ended up coming home with from the antique mall and just sharing where I'm putting those and how I'm styling them. So I hope that you enjoy this one. I know that I had a lot of fun putting it together. Today's video is a collaboration with my sweet friend Kaylin Cash. I know so many of you are probably already subscribed to Kaylin's channel. She has a beautiful home that her and her husband have been building and they've finally moved in, and she has decorated it so beautifully. It's been so fun seeing each of the spaces come together, and she's been sharing all of that over on her YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen that content, you can catch up. But today she's gonna share a little bit of a refresh in her living room, so I can't wait to see what she's come up with. So I'll have her video from today linked in the description down below, as well as her channel if you'd like to subscribe. Okay friends, let's check out the footage from the antique mall. It was a cold and dreary day, and I think Luca and I spent about 3 hours at the antique mall. It was just perfect for being indoors and doing a little bit of window shopping. Now, I will say, if you ever take your kids with you when you go antiquing, this is the perfect location to bring them along with, because it has so many booths geared at children, so many vintage toys and collectibles. Luca had a blast. So this was really a great spot to bring him. I did find a lot of beautiful crocks and jugs. Nothing I felt like I needed to go home with. I'm still trying to get the hang of what I would like to pay for something like this. I do have some beautiful European jugs that I got from the depot that I felt like were at a pretty good price point, but I didn't really see anything quite that affordable here today. Now, I know these booths are ever changing and there's something new just about every time you go, so I will surely be back and will explore. But the jugs and the crocks, old vintage frames and pictures and old books, candlestick holders and things like that are usually my go-to. Oh, and definitely baskets. I love my baskets. And I love pottery and old bowls and coffee mugs. So it's just so fun to sift through. Now, I did notice that quite a few booths had baskets at a pretty reasonable price. This one was only $8, and I'd considered bringing it home to put it above our big white armoire in our entryway, but I ended up not. And honestly, the only reason was because we didn't have a cart. They were all taken. We went shopping on the weekend and it was just a very busy day. I think everyone saw the weather forecast and thought this would be a great activity to do on a rainy, cold day. So I didn't want to have to lug anything heavy with me throughout the store. So the couple of items that I did end up taking home were actually last minute finds at some of the last booths that we visited, and my arms were full, and we decided that was the time we were going to go home so that we didn't need to walk around carrying all of those. But it was so fun looking at all of the treasures. I loved this wooden slab. I thought that would make for a really pretty shelf, and you can tell Luca is just living his best life. They had candy at some of the booths, so he had a sucker and was looking at Pokemon, and he was so happy. But I love taking my kids on one-on-one adventures. I would say we probably don't get to do it quite as often as I would like to, just logistically and time-wise, but whenever we have the opportunity to do it, we love to, and this was such a sweet mother-son date. This booth was by far my favorite of all the booths that we saw. I feel like it had just so many beautiful treasures, from dough bowls to all kinds of really neat marble dishes and trays, beautiful vases and jugs. They had some pretty baskets, some wall sconces, and they had my favorite little European stools. I could not justify the price for the size. My gut was telling me I could find them somewhere cheaper. So the small one was, well, they're both very small to be honest, but the smallest one was $79, and I think the larger one was $89 if I'm remembering correctly. And I'm so glad I waited, because I had posted a few Instagram stories, and some of you said that they were priced on the very high range, and that you would recommend looking somewhere else that you could find ones like that for $30 or so. So I'm definitely going to hold out, but just so many little treasures hidden on these shelves, and was so fun to look and see. And one thing I love about antiquing is there are so many things that I learn throughout this process, some really cool pieces that I see and have never really seen before, and then I can go and look them up and learn about them and why they were used and what they were used for. This vintage potato bowl was so cool. I thought that would look really neat on a kitchen shelf or even on your countertops. This rug is a Loloi rug, which you can buy off of Amazon, but I love that they give you the vintage look for less, and $30 was a great price. I actually ended up looking this one up online while I was there, and I loved the colors, and I may or may not have taken that home with me. This booth was really neat. It was full of all of the cast iron things, so many beautiful pieces. I am no expert, but I felt like they were pretty reasonably priced and they were all in great shape. A couple of years ago, I purchased a few cast iron skillets at a vintage store and they aren't in the greatest of shape, so I may end up going back and getting one from this vendor. Now, one thing I thought was really cool, they had some amazing jugs, some of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. They were outrageously expensive, but one thing that was really cool is that it tells you about the time frame that they were from and a little bit about them, and I thought that was really neat. A lot of them were originally from like the 1800s, which is so cool. We are back home and it is beautiful. This is actually the next day. I wanted to wait to film at home until the sun was shining and we had some of that beautiful natural light just filtering in the windows. So this is a look at our piano area. Before we do a little bit of a refresh today, I have kept my winter decor in this space because I've really enjoyed it, but it's getting warm out and it's time to match the season, and so I'm bringing in this beautiful print. I love to order my prints from various Etsy shops, and then I can just either have them printed through the shop and shipped to my house or just download them and have them printed at a local store like Walgreens. So that's what I did with this one, and I think it's so beautiful. I love the florals and the lady just sitting out, it looks like kind of in the garden with a book, and just felt like a really relaxing scene to add to our living room. So I'm going to add some of these old antique books that I had purchased a couple of years ago with my big beautiful crock, and we're gonna add some stems from the backyard. I'm honestly not even sure what these are. I'm sure many of you could probably tell me, but they were pretty and they were blooming. There were some white flowers on them, and so I thought I'd go ahead and bring a little bit of spring indoors, and it was an affordable way to add a pop of green to that jug. And then over here I'm adding a wreath that I purchased from Target. So just a few simple changes that I feel like tied in the rest of the house and the spring decor that we've got on our little coffee table here and just throughout the room. I love mixing the old and the new, as I have talked about a lot on my channel here, and I think it just helps to soften everything, add character, and really give your home that curated look. We're gonna move into the kitchen because I want to share a couple of things with you in here. One, this has been on my husband's honey-do list for a very long time. He's a very busy man and does so much around the house, but we had an opportunity, a few minutes, I think it took 5, to finally put the knobs on these center doors. They are just part of the cabinets in the island, and for some reason we just never did that when we did the rest of the cabinets, and I'm so happy to finally have those completed. So I ended up getting the rug. I looked online and it looked like it was going to be about $50 to $60 for this runner rug to buy brand new, and I was able to get it at the antique store for $30. I did also go home with this cutting board, so I only purchased 2 things. I was pretty proud of myself. I did set a budget and I stayed well below budget, which is always a bonus. Doesn't always happen, but this cutting board was really pretty and I felt like it could be used decoratively throughout the house, but also practically. Now I am curious, if you've purchased a used cutting board before, how do you keep it clean, or how do you clean it, I suppose, to put food on it? I know you're not really supposed to use soaps because those can dry out the wood and then you get the cracking. So I'm curious, if you bought one used before, what you've done to kind of sanitize it to then be able to actually put food on it and use it. Now I did want to share this view in the kitchen because we got the runner rug that we now have at the base of the kitchen island. I don't have my big rectangular rug in the center of the kitchen anymore. I'm going to repurpose that in a different area of our home. So I thought that I would just kind of show you what that looks like. But we did decide that it was going to be beneficial for us to have a rug at the base of the kitchen sink because we did have enough occasions where we had some pooled water on the ground just from water flying everywhere when you're doing the dishes and loading the dishwasher and things like that. Okay, friends, that is all for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you are new or if you're just not caught up, I recently shared our 3-part series of our bathroom makeover, and this was a huge but fun and super rewarding in the end project. It is definitely a little bit out of our comfort zone. We decided to go with a big, bright, bold pop of color in there, and we added wallpaper and just wanted to give it kind of a vintage European feel, and I could not be happier with how it turned out. We are thoroughly enjoying it. And I also recently shared our spring home tour, so that is available for you to watch as well if you haven't seen it yet and are looking for a little spring home decorating inspiration. Also, don't forget to check out Kaylin's channel. I'll have her video from today linked in the video description, as well as a direct link to her channel if you want to check her out and subscribe. All right, friends, I will see you all in the next one, and I hope you have a great day.